So I believe I'm going to refer to my notes from time to time, so don't be scared if I'm looking at my iPad. I want to know a few things to make sure in front of the right embodiments. Please raise your hands if you would like more confidence. Oh, good. I was a little bit worried there. Maybe everyone had enough. Raise your hand if you would like great relationships. And raise your hand if you would like more freedom. Excellent. Okay, I'm in front of the right crowd, and so that is helpful. If I can show you how to go from fear to living an unencumbered life in the next 15 minutes, would you be interested?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Well, welcome to After the Fire. In a moment, I'll share the formula to gain freedom, confidence, and great relationships in your life, or really success in anything that you see that you want to do. That being said, I want you to know that I believe that you are not here by accident tonight. I believe that you were created to be here in this time in history to be exactly who you are. And I also believe that you are powerful, and when unleashed, you will change the world for the better. With those things being said, I'd like to share just a little bit about myself beyond what Melissa had shared, because it will give you a little bit of context. I am not unfamiliar with trauma. I have had many events in my life that were traumatic. The most recent being falling off our 17-and-a-half-hand horse. Needless to say, this is a literal thing, not the figurative, I fell off my horse. I just want to be clear. It was very clear to my family when they asked me if I was okay, when I first of all didn't talk for a while, and secondly said, we need to go to the ER because that's not within my typical character. We made it to the ER. I was happy to have pain meds, and the damage was 6 broken ribs, 4 verticular fractures, a punctured lung, and a lacerated kidney.
Oh my gosh.
This was 2 years ago. I'm perfectly fine now, let me tell you. Do I feel it some days? Maybe just a little bit. But really, that's a pretty traumatic event physically. So with that, while I was laying in the hospital bed, maybe a little drugged up, I started to think, what are you waiting for? Why haven't you done the things that you wanted to do? You make all of these plans around a business that you love, but you're not passionate about. Why? Why do I do that? Well, interestingly, I'd actually been coaching since before that happened. But something became very real to me at that point, and that was that movement is life. Life is movement. If you're not moving, you're standing still. And I forget about my slides, so oops, wrong direction. So, I already told you what I believe, and I told you what I like to do. And I forgot about this, so we'll go over this really quickly. This is something that I learned last summer. I learned how to play with fire. I learned how to eat fire. I learned how to set things on fire. Okay, maybe I don't do that. Basically, without explaining much more, if you are ever in need of a circus performer, I'm probably qualified for that. So that's just a side thing. All right, so what I figured out was that there's a formula for success. And success is safety times self-care times starting to live again equals amazing, powerful you. So because our time is brief, I'm not going to go too in-depth with anything, but I will touch on all 3 of these things that help you to be a success. First of all, we're going to talk about safety. We all get into the car and buckle our seats, at least we're supposed to, seatbelts, right? To keep us safe. We all do things all the time to keep us safe. But what is safety? Safety is really a construct. Are we ever actually safe? Well, in theory, but something could fall from the ceiling. The earth could shake. We could have anything happen, right? And I don't say that to make you think, oh my gosh, is something going to fall. No, we're not going to focus on that. Definitely not. What I'm talking about is that safety is in our minds. When we are safe, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and reasonably comfortable in our skin, we're safe no matter what we're doing, because we believe that what we need is right there and we can get it. So that safety is the foundation for being able to take those risks. If you look at a rock climber, what they're doing is rather dangerous. But what do? They check their ropes, they check their little, now I can't think of what they're called, the things they plug into the mountain to make sure that they're safe, right? They're mitigating risks. And we can do the same internally when we know who we are and when we wake up in the morning and we determine who we're going to be today. There are mornings I wake up and I'm like, I think I want to be a slug and lay in bed. And I think about it a while, and most of the time I'm like, nope, that's not who I'm going to be today. I'm going to be powerful, and I'm going to uplift every person I come into contact with today. Truth be told, I fail at that almost every day, so if you want to know. But there's a big caveat there. That is my goal, and I take steps to be that person every day. And that's what counts, is are you putting in the work to do what you want to do? So I wanted to share this quote with you, which is, regardless of what we discover, we must understand and truly believe that everyone did the best job he or she could, given what was known at the time. His or her skills and abilities, the resources available, and the situation at hand. The reason I like this quote with safety is because bad things happen, and we do things that other people perceive as bad, but we feel totally justified in them. The reality is, we're all at different levels of consciousness every moment of the day. And so sometimes we're thinking about others, and sometimes we're just thinking about ourselves. So we can't always handle it all. But we always know people were doing things probably with the best intentions in mind. So the next step, self-care. Everyone, self-care, it's a big buzzword right now. Whoa, self-care, take care of yourself, take a bubble bath. You need a treat. What about your finances? That is self-care. What about taking care of your body? That is self-care. What you eat can be self-care, or it can be self-uncare, right? Now, that doesn't mean you don't get a treat sometimes. Absolutely. But remembering that you should take care of yourself. And if you want to boil self-care down to its essential elements, self-care is being grateful and practicing your agency. By being grateful, when you're in a state of gratitude, you do not see negative things. Doesn't mean that they're not out there. It doesn't mean that you don't need to be aware of them from time to time. But as soon as you catch yourself going down the road of, oh, everything's going to fall apart because I failed at that speech. No, it is not. Be grateful that you got to give the speech. You have one more speech under your belt. You have more experience, and now you're a little more comfortable doing it. You didn't die. You're still here to live another day. Agency. We all have agency, and we all have more power than we're aware of. So when something happens, are you a victim? Or are you a survivor? Or even more so, are you causing the matter to make something workable out of the situation? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. And those are the things that when you wake up in the morning and you go, who am I today? Those are the kinds of things that happen, that you see yourself as. So I have a quote for this one too. I love quotes, as you can't tell. It's okay to take time for yourself. We give so much of ourselves to others, and we need to be both fueled physically and mentally. If we are in balance, it helps us in all our interactions. When we're not in a survival mode, we can really make an impact in the world. And we don't need to deplete ourselves to serve. I love the analogy of the cup and the saucer. If you have a cup and a saucer, you can pour that cup full. And then guess what? You can give to other people out of the saucer. It's still great stuff, but you're still there and you can still give more. And starting to live again. The reason that I do starting to live again rather than just living is because, like I had said earlier, every single morning is a new day. You wake up with new brain cells. So why shouldn't you take that possibility every morning of training those brain cells to train them the way that you want them to behave, the way that you want them to connect, the way that you want them to communicate? Starting to live again is about moving forward, taking one step forward every time something comes up, utilizing your agency, being grateful for the fact that you're even alive. And sometimes that's all I can find to be grateful for. Most of the time that's not true anymore, but that's where I started. That time when I was laying in the hospital bed, could not even get out of bed. And there are people in this room that will tell you I did things and mostly said things that I would never say because it hurt so bad, but I still was grateful I was alive. So there's that, starting to live again. What does that mean to you? And you can explore that. Maybe it means starting a business. Maybe it means changing your business, because that's important to me. Maybe it means, you know what? I need to stop being a victim. I'm not a victim. I can use my agency to go ahead and change my life. Because you do have the power to change your life. So, another quote that I love is, life has no limitations except the ones you make. And I know when I first heard that quote, I was like, but that's not true, because I was saddled with limitations, which I had put on myself because of what other people had said. But they just said that. And it reflected more on where they were than on where I was. And now I understand that. So it's very empowering to understand who you are. The other thing, every morning when you wake up, winter's coming, what are you going to do with it? Live life like you're sledding down a hill. Do you have control? Not really. I mean, you think you do, right? You're safe. You check to make sure there were no trees in the way, probably. But you're having a great time, probably screaming with fun and elation. Maybe you even hit a jump where you can, we were 5 feet off the ground. That's awesome. And sometimes you end up off the side, snow plowed into a bank, and you gotta climb out. It's just like life. Wherever you end up, you end up. Do you stay there in the snow bank? No. You get up, and you climb out, and then you decide, did I go the rest of the way down the hill? Well, yeah. Why would I climb up halfway? Don't do that. Just keep going. Then climb back up when you get to the bottom. Life, oops, I keep going the wrong way. You are powerful, and when unleashed, you will change the world for the better. And that is where I would like to leave you this evening. Thank you so much.